Hi everyone. So I have uncovered my 2 garden beds here. So I have the holy basil, some mint growing here, and it's growing wonderfully. I've heard that it grows better in the ground than in a pot, which is true. I've observed it myself. I threw some eggshells in there. Lots of collard green, a hollyhock, which I have to dig up and transplant somewhere else. It's gonna get really humongous. And some tomatoes that volunteered here. And amongst all this stuff are some green onions, Thai basil, and behind this garden bed is a bunch of canna that I grew. Trying to make it lush and beautiful back here, nice and green. And some things I'm going to have to transplant out. This garden bed is full of cilantro. I cut some yesterday to put into my dinner as a garnish. Thai, which I couldn't get around to. Oh, it is attracting so many bees right now. So many. There's at least 5 bees in here. And it's going to seed, which is fine. Some green onions back here, some ashitaba, some Thai basil that I had stuck in here, remember I was showing you, some broccoli, some Brussels sprouts. Oh look, it's starting already. And my beautiful succulent. It's so pretty because it's got 3 colors, yellow, pinkish, and green. Beautiful. Underneath here are some leeks, green onions, Thai basil, and over here I have either an apple or a pear, not sure. It volunteered itself. It's got these specific leaves, and hollyhock, and over here my one elephant ear, or it's in that same family, and a passion fruit that has volunteered. I don't think I planted it here. I'm gonna have to pull it out and pot it to give out or something, because it's gonna grow massive. Some mums I propagated. I gave some away already. A canna over there. A volunteer fern, I believe. And some roses I'm propagating. Some mums I'm propagating. Some rose and mums. Just a bunch of things. This was my experimental area. But the fact that they have leaves right now means that they survived. And I'm going to pull them out and put them in pots or something to give away. Another fern that I'm going to pot up, I think. And what else have we got here? Now the hollyhocks are starting to come up. Ready to bloom sometime. This is all my experimental area. Some canna, growing new leaves on my loquat. Some canna, some ginger back there, canna, hollyhock and borage, canna, papaya, big tall ginger. more new canna coming up. They do that, they clump in the same area. Here's my onion bed. Let me get out of the frame here. So a little bit more green popping up. Transplanted some tomato here. If it doesn't live, it's fine. If it does, I was just gonna climb it up onto this beam here. Some more onion sets. It's looking pretty dry. It's kind of warmer today than I expected. My husband's been doing some woodworking, and so this is a pile that we have from the saw. And some greens popping up. This was a bed that had yodfa and what was the other thing? It was yodfa, which is a Chinese broccoli, and then it was the one that sounds Italian, which I don't know where it's from actually. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. It's the young, skinny broccoli that doesn't get too tough. It's real tender. I'll remember it later, of course, which drives me crazy. And then at the edge, I grew some leeks. As you remember, we grew some buttercrunch lettuce from Baker Creek seeds. And we had it underneath these refrigerator shelves as a cold frame. They're coming out beautifully. The leaves are beautiful. And over here was some bok choy, and it's getting eaten by something, but it was growing nicely, which is unfortunate. And just gonna check out if anything's popping up in my two grow bags. Not yet. Here are some mint in the pots. They do well in the spring from all the rains from the winter, and they look really lush in the spring, and then they start to die off in the summer when it gets too hot, and then they look like that there, those little branches. And this one's okay. It's where my dahlia was. I'm going to cut off all these branches. I was trying to keep it as dry as possible. I didn't pull them in and bring them in as I should have. And if you guys have seen this weed before, it's in the mallow family. And it has these distinctive looking seed pods. And these are actually an edible weed. I didn't grow this on purpose, it just volunteered. I'm gonna possibly pull it out. And this lemongrass looks pretty dried. I have to water it. And excuse that bit ugly looking banana stump, but it's still alive. And I just have to cut off all these dead pieces. At least I think it's still alive. I hope it is. I tried to protect it with plastic, and I don't know, it seems like all the ones that I covered with plastic don't look too hot. They all look brown and dead. So I don't know if I should have tried that at all or left them alone. There's the other stump that was the banana, and I hope that one survives because that one looks really, really dead. Cara orange and blood orange and kaffir lime leaves. They smell really good and are used in Asian cooking. Smells so citrusy. And my calendula is blooming really well. I'm going to collect some of the older ones, see if I can get seeds from them, and leave the blooming, younger looking ones for the bees and insects. Swiss chard. Here are the basil, Thai basil that I covered. There's still some green, so I think it may be alive. Just gonna chop off some of the dead looking stuff, the ends. Collard greens. Another citrus. I think it's a loquat. I've had it since it was really, really tiny. It's taken a while to grow. Some lemongrass. Small Mexican lime tree. It's growing pretty tall this year. And last year I had praying mantis seed, or not seed, egg pod there. And then I captured it when the babies were out. And this year we spotted another praying mantis pod. Let me show you. Not sure if it's the same exact pod as last year, but I believe it's new. So we'll look around March and April, because I think that's when they hatch. And I just love that. This one, Thai basil, I didn't cover, and it's doing really well. I'm going to collect these tops and throw them in the chicken coop. Oh my gosh, these smell divine. I mean, these smell so heavenly. Just a sniff makes me feel so good. Rosemary, also something I like to smell. Oh my goodness, so strong, fragrant. More Thai basil, which I love, love, love. And I bought a bunch of different basil varieties from Africa and everywhere that every single basil they have available. I bought from Baker Creek Seeds. So over here was my other Thai basil, and this is what it's diminished to. And this was covered. So I'm wondering if covering them was a bad idea, which I may not do next year, because keeping those bags on here was a headache because the wind just kept blowing them off. And this was protected on both sides by amaranth, and so here's one side, and the other side was here, but I plucked the whole thing out, fed them to the chickens, because the tops where the seeds are full of protein. It's an ancient grain. So I'm going to pull out this whole plant, give some sun and water to the basil, plant new things here, and that's what I'm going to do today. So have a great day.